Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And on this episode, we were over at the wall in Crushbone with my Cleric. Granted, he's level 12, so probably not the greatest place to be. Uh, at level 13, the wall is probably going to be a little too low, unless of course you're pulling from the throne room. That's really where you want to be, but unfortunately, there's not always a group in there. Sometimes it's just too hard for the people that are here. You're gonna need quite a bit of healing in there because it's constant pull. You're gonna need a pretty good tank to be able to take those hits, or a couple tanks at least. I think my tank is about to die here. Come on, get back out here. Here we go. That didn't quite seem to do anything. It healed him a little. Oh, there he goes. He used to lay a hands on himself. Oh, great. I'm getting... Oh, there it is. That definitely was not the greatest time to lag out. And I'm getting hit now, so I'm getting interrupted. If you ever have this happen to you and you're constantly getting interrupted, put your back against a wall, and that way when they hit you, there's no room for you to actually move. All they can do is push you further into the wall. And if you have a corner, even better, because they can at least push me left or right a little bit depending on how they're facing me. So try to be like directly in front of them against the wall. There we go. We're keeping up with the heals, not too bad. He is taking hits pretty horrible. But I want to go ahead and show you guys as well as soon as we get done with this fight. I literally logged on and I went to go sell because I had a whole bunch of weapons and armor and stuff that I had picked up on my last group, and that was really over encumbered. And while I was sitting there selling, there was a necro who was killing stuff, and he wasn't looting the corpses anymore. I guess he was full on his inventory, and the corpses were just rotting there on the ground. So I went ahead and clicked on him to loot, and there was some pretty good armor on him, and I'll show you what pieces I got there. And then when I was running back, one of my guildmates actually was in town. Her name is Helen, or at least her character's name is Helen. And she looked at my stuff and wanted to know if I wanted any of these pieces of armor I guess she was getting rid of. Thor, you're a madman. Yeah, he ran all the way in there and got that Royal Guard. That's pretty crazy. Of course, he went through all my power, but... So let's see, what pieces of armor? Okay, so I got from Helen these shoulder pads, these small bronze pauldrons, and then the fine steel greatstaff. Now the greatstaff is pretty nice, except for that it's two-handed. Now that doesn't mean a lot at this level, obviously, but at higher levels, a cleric is going to want a shield or an off-handed item because you're going to have an extra slot to put wisdom in it. So two-handed weapons ultimately aren't going to be what you're going to be using, but it is better than anything I had before, and I'm not using an extra shield because I don't have one right now. So I'm going to go ahead and use this for now. And as soon as I'm not able to use it, I'll go ahead and give it to a newbie character and pass it on down to them. As far as what I got from the Necro, let me show you guys. I got this belt, this jacket. I think that was it, right? Let me look. Yeah, that was it. And so it's pretty nice ring-mailed skirt, which is a belt. It goes around your waist. It's 5 AC. As well as the cape, the ring-mailed cape, which is, obviously for your slot, for the back, and it's 6 AC. So they're pretty nice items. The only thing you have to be aware of is that the weight is pretty heavy. Bronze is obviously going to be heavier than ring-mailed, I believe, but let me see. Alright guys, time for me to log for the night. Appreciate it. What is this? Bronze main weapon, so a couple PP to a vendor. Okay, so nothing too important there. I also, it was kind of a full login because I had quite a bit going on. I also sold some of the belts that we had just for a little bit of extra platinum. That's why you see that I have 49 platinum right now. Mainly because I need the money for my next level spells. Now I already have level 14 spells. How's the experience there? Gonna go spend time with the wife, guys. Okay. I've already bought my level 14 spells, but Spells creep up on you pretty fast as you play the game, and I don't know if there's anything in Unrest that I can make money on. It's been a very long time since I've been to Unrest. I know here that the belts are at least worth something. So that you can at least maybe, hopefully, build up a little bit of cash before you leave, because it may be a while before you get to another zone that has something worth, people wanting to spend platinum on. Plus, every zone has those name creatures that drop a certain item that may be worth something, but you don't always win on the random for that. And a lot of the time, especially on this server that I'm playing on, if anybody actually needs that item, most people will just give it to them. Which means if you're trying to save up for your next level spells, you may never ever even get a chance to random on it, let alone win it. So you kind of want to build up the cash when you can. You may even come back here at a higher level. Like I've seen a lot of level 17s, a lot of 18s come in here. They go to the throne room when it's not camped. They go up in that tower and they just pull and kill. And I guess they're building up a whole bunch of belts that then they go back out and sell. They're going for probably on average about 2 platinum is what I've seen it. Some of them are 3 to 4, but on average I would say about 2 platinum a piece. So you're not going to make a huge amount of money. I've seen it where they've gone all the way up to 10 platinum a piece, but lately it's about 2 platinum. So you just have to judge. If you're watching this video, 4 years from the date, they may be all the way up to 50 platinum a piece because nobody goes to these low-level zones anymore. How do I know? I don't know what it's going to be in the future, but it does fluctuate a good bit. Anywhere from a platinum to about 10 platinum at the highest, I would assume. That's the highest I've ever seen it, anyways. But we're all looking for DPS, so they're still looking for one more, and I got 90 power, so let them know. Somebody's trained. You killed me 3 times, no more, Mrs. Nice Girl. I will report you to the GMs if you train again. You have been warned. Why are you mad, though? Welcome to Crushbone. Ha ha ha. Yeah, Crushbone, like Unrest, like Horner's Castle, are zones that are completely and totally filled with trains. If you come here and get mad about a train very easily, this probably is not the zone for you because, throne room looking for tank. Oh, I guess there is somebody inside the throne room. That would be the group to get into if I can, but I'm going to be welcome to Band City if you train again. I don't train your group, so... Oh man, these people are getting pretty vicious now. So we're going to go ahead and ignore that chat. I don't like it when people get that vicious, but... Obviously, we're going to try to get... I'm going to try to get at least 14 in Crushbone before I head to Unrest. And the reason behind that is at level 14, I get my new level heal spell. So even if I am on the low side of the group, just barely able to make experience because everybody else is so high, I'm like right there on the limit at level 14, which I may very well be, I'll still be able to actually contribute to the group with a greater, amount of healing just because of that new heal spell. And usually, the new heal spells that you get are hands down like 3 to 4 times as powerful as the one you used to have. And it uses either a little bit more power or sometimes almost just the same amount. And you're getting about 3 or 4 times the amount of healing out of it. So you can just see that a cleric or a druid or a shaman or whoever it is trying to heal at a lower level without that heal spell, even just 1 level off, really won't be able to compete with another cleric, and therefore when you get into a group they're going to expect a certain performance from you, and you're not going to be able to meet that. You're going to be constantly running out of power, and it's just not going to work. They're going to be like, I'm sorry, we're going to have to get somebody else who can keep up with it. They're not going to really settle. Sometimes they will if that's all they can find. If you're the only healer in the zone, I guess a little healing is better than no healing, but it's really going to hamper their ability to pull at the rate that they like to. So just keep that in mind. You do want to go to higher level zones. You don't want to reach your limit and kill all these greens and stuff like that and have like 60% of your kills not counting towards your experience because you're staying there too long. But at the same time, you don't want to go to another zone too soon. So we'll try to head over there as soon as possible. I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, we've seen as much of this zone as we care to see, but it really is a fun zone. Plus, the people I'm grouping with, you may see them, in my groups more than once because we're kind of leveling up together. If you log on every night or every other night or every 2 or 3 nights, chances are you'll see the same people over and over and over again, and you'll get to know them a little bit each day. Even if you never really say anything to those people, you'll get to know their little quirks about, oh, he's a good puller, or he's a decent cleric. I've had him in my groups and nobody really died. That really is all you need to know about a healer. He may not say a lot, he may not say anything. Anyone needs center or holy armor. He's a cleric as well, so we got 2 clerics in the group. A lower level one, but still cleric. So I'm going to let him do the buffs. Granted, mine would be better. Well, not better, just higher level. So mine would override his, but we have the exact same buffs, obviously. We have center, unholy armor. So he is at least level 9, is when you get that center spell. And they're still talking. Yeah, they're still making a fuss over all those. I don't know what we're waiting for right now. Go ahead and move so you guys can see a little bit better of the picture. And again, guys, if you want to see first person, just let me know. I'm more than happy to shoot the footage like this. I always tend to do third person, just because it allows me to see a little bit more of the image. I know when my brother used to play back in the day, he always played like this, and I never could understand how he could do that as a druid, and he was constantly kiting and doing this stuff, and I'm like, you got to try third person at least a few times. And he would try it, and the controls would feel all weird to him, because you're moving differently. You're watching your guy on screen instead of seeing through his eyes. So it is a bit of a different kind of play style. But after about an hour, he got used to it, and in fact, he loved it so much that he couldn't go back to the way he played before. And so it is one of those things. It's like I remember going from the Super Nintendo to the GameCube, and you're going from like a 2-dimensional image to a 3-dimensional image with a controller that has those little, joysticks on them and everything like that instead of a D-pad. And it was a huge change, and it took hours to get used to it, to a point where I felt like I could actually maybe start enjoying the game and not trying to figure the controller out the whole time, And some people will pick up on it faster than others, but once you do, oh my god, it's so much better, because you can do a lot more stuff. You can see around corners with a third-person view that you wouldn't be able to see in first person. You will be able to keep an eye on things that you would never normally be able to keep an eye on. So it is kind of a cheat. I mean, in real life, you don't get to see, over your shoulder and see, yourself. But so if you're going for like the RPG, role-playing part of it, and you really want to immerse yourself into the character, well, then seeing through his eyes may not be a horrible thing. But you are going to limit yourself in a lot of respects. So I always tend to kind of zoom out. Plus, you're kind of making this character your own by the armor that you put on him and the weapons that you use. And some of the time you just want to see what he looks like. I mean, you can see I got a pair of pants from, I forgot who it was. I think it may have been Thor right here, that had an upgrade. I think he bought bronze, and he got rid of his ring mailed, and he saw that I could use it, so he went ahead and gave it to me. Now you're probably thinking, like, why do you need, stronger armor? Why do you need ring mailed or even bronze or plate armor for a cleric? You're never really getting hit. Well, it's true, you don't get hit that often. But when you do, you might as well have the best armor you can possibly wear. And in this game, I don't know the reasoning behind it, but they went ahead and made the clerics able to wear heavy armor. Now, I don't know if that's a D&D thing. I never really played clerics back in the D&D day. I was always like a warrior or something along those lines. But you can wear pretty good armor. You can wear plate armor. Now, granted, you're not ever going to be able to tank anywhere near as good as an actual tank, whether it's a paladin or a warrior or a shadow knight. That's just not going to happen. But you do have a pretty high AC, so on those few occasions that you will still aggro, because when I look at it this way, out of all the classes that they have in a group, the Cleric is most likely to still aggro because he's doing his job. Whereas other classes who still aggro are doing it because they're not familiar with their character. Like a Necro who steals aggro is somebody who was using too many dots, too many damage spells too quickly on the enemy. He didn't space it out enough, and so he wasn't very familiar with either the spells that he just got as he leveled up, or he was being a little bit overeager and he wasn't really paying attention, something along those lines. A wizard, the same thing, but a cleric, he doesn't really have a choice sometimes about how much he heals and when he heals. It really comes down to how hard is the enemy hitting, who's the enemy hitting, and when they need health. If the tank needs constant healing because he's just getting beat that hard, then either the cleric has two choices: let him die, and that means the group is going to die as well, or heal him and still aggro on pretty much all the extra creatures, because he doesn't get like an area effect taunt. He can only taunt one creature at a time unless he has like an area effect spell, which you probably will never use as a tank, because in this game area effect spells are pretty horrible inside dungeons. You just never know the side effects of that. You would think that, oh, that'd be pretty safe to use, it's only going to happen in the room that you're in. Well, area effects in this game tend to go through walls, they tend to go through ceilings and floors. So if you're, on a second floor, you could quite literally train the group or the room underneath you and above you, and the ones off to all four of your sides. And since it's just completely random when it does it and how often it does it and what creatures will be affected by it and what creatures the ones that are affected by it will bring to your group and the paying they will take, I mean, there's a lot of variables in place. So you can't really use it to your advantage, and you can't really map it out and say, okay, this is a place that you can use it for sure, and this is a place that you really, really don't ever want to use it. Because sometimes you can do it a whole bunch of times and nothing will happen. And then one time you'll do it and something completely different will happen and it'll wipe your group. So ultimately it comes out to just not be worth it. People will just play it safe and not try using that kind of stuff. But so when you're pulling a whole group, the only way to ensure that the healer doesn't get aggro when he heals somebody is to make sure he doesn't heal very often. And that's when that complete heal spell comes into effect. The complete heal spell is great because you can wait until the tank is really low on life. I'm talking about like 5-6% if you time it right, because it's a 10-second delay on it. And so if you can time it at like 5-6% or even lower, if of course you go really low, you have a chance of him dying, because they do sneak out big attacks every so often. Like if you have a caster in the group of mobs that you're fighting, he may get in a big direct damage spell out of the blue, and it's not something like steady that you can kind of see going down like melee attack would be. So you kind of want to make sure that you have a little bit of give there. But if you can get it down to about 5-6%, that means he's built up quite a bit of aggro on the enemies he's fighting with like a damage shield or something on him. So that's when you can heal. You do one heal, which doesn't steal that much aggro, and it heals him all the way back to full life. And then you wait quite a bit of time, hopefully, if you have a decent tank, before you cast another one. But before you get that spell, you'll see with what I'm doing right now, where I have to heal the whole fight, and his life is just barely maintaining itself. Sometimes it's still going down with me constantly healing. Just realized I'm missing my two-hander. Yeah, I think he dropped that yesterday. I guess he never picked it back up. And I think I caught that on video yesterday, so I'll have to look to see who the name of the character was who said that. Yeah, so I'll have to check that out and send him a message and let him know what the name of the character was. I'm sure the guy will give it back. I think he just picked it up to make sure that it didn't rot on the ground, and I thought he would give it back as soon as the guy came back, but maybe he forgot himself, so we'll have to figure that out. Hopefully he can get his two-hander back, because that sucks to lose a weapon. And he just figured that out. I mean, I think he's a paladin. Now, let me check real quick. If he's a paladin, then having a shield is preferably the way to go. So. I can't believe I just did that. I wanted to see what level. Yeah, he's a paladin. So I just typed out who all Thor in group chat, so he knows I was checking him out. But I just wanted to see if he was a paladin or not, because as a warrior, your chances are you're going to want to dual wield. That's what their epic is anyways, is a two-hander that splits out into a two separate different one-handers. And they look like lightsabers. That's really the only way to describe them. If you've ever seen them, you'll look like you're like, oh, you're a Jedi or something like that. That's what it literally looks like. So it does have pretty cool effect on it and everything else. In fact, that was one of the only epics that actually had like graphics to it, other than the fact that it looked like a weapon. You know, like mine looked like a mace. It wasn't glowing. It didn't have little effects coming on, because this is, you know, EverQuest in the heyday. It wasn't like it is now, where graphics are everywhere and things are beautiful, and if it doesn't look like it's glowing with, you know, rose petals and blue flames coming off of it, you know, nobody wants it. Things weren't like that back in the day. If you got a piece of armor that looked like it had texture to it, that was a pretty big deal. You know, it's a different standard today than it was back then, but you know, theirs was one of those that actually had an effect to it, and it was just mind-blowing that it did, because that was amazing. Everybody was like, whoa, that looks cool. People actually literally started a warrior just so they could do the epic, just so they could have that weapon with the effects. That's how much people wanted that, you know. And obviously it took off, and it's in every game now, where things glow and leave wisp tails behind them, and you know, it just looks it looks like a neon Las Vegas kind of thing when you walk into a zone and everybody's just shining and glowing and pulsating lights and stuff like that. It's crazy, and it's a little overwhelming. So I kind of like the old style feel, and I love games that make you work for that kind of stuff. Too many of the games now are just like, oh, spend $10 and you can have, you know, some really cool looking weapon that doesn't do very much. It's just for looks. Well, I can understand games wanting to make money. You know, they have to make money to survive and make another game in the future. So I completely get that, but I don't really like buying items just for looks. It seems a little silly. I respect those that decide to do that. I mean, you know, you earn that $10. You have the right to do with it what you want, but I would appreciate it if the manufacturers of the game, the publishers, made a way for people who want to play the game and earn stuff themselves through the game. Because ultimately that's what you're playing the game for, is because you enjoy it. And you should be able to earn everything you get with real cash in the game somehow. You may make it incredibly hard. You may make that one item that costs $10 in real cash take you a year and a half to get. It may be so hard that not one person since the beginning of the game has ever gone through the steps that you need to get that. But it should be there so that somebody who's super hardcore and says, I love the way that looks, but I want to make sure, you know, because you're playing like an RPG, you like if you throw yourself in it and start talking like an orc and, you know, acting like an orc and really getting yourself into the character, then you don't want to break character by buying something with real cash. You want to go through the steps of getting it, and then maybe even having a different name so that you can show that you didn't just buy it, you actually, you know, quested for it and stuff. So I don't know, that's a little thing that I like, or I would like to see more often in games. You guys will have to let me know your opinion on it. Do you like the fact that you can just buy stuff now in games for the most part, or do you get overwhelmed with that? Is that too overwhelming in a lot of these games? I know, what was the game? I think I was playing Diablo on my brother's PS3 when he was down here, and I was really taken aback by just how much stuff you could buy with real cash. I was like, seriously, everything you could possibly find in the game you could buy with real cash. And I was just, I don't know, it was kind of, I hate to use the word sickening, but it kind of was. It took away a lot of what I thought would be some of the cool things. There's like no bragging rights on getting a really cool piece of armor, because you literally could have just started the game yesterday and spent $100, and now you have the best armor in the game. Yeah, I think we should. Because we're not really challenged out here. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're not going to go in there now if we're losing somebody else. Let's see. Wall looking for more. Is anybody else LFG? Yeah, well, level 7 Necro. 11-8 Bard. That's too low, I guess, for level. Yeah, we need a little bit higher. I don't know. It's a hard topic to really, because I feel for both sides. I feel for the people who use those items and buy them. I feel for the people who are trying to make money off of their game, and I feel for the other side, who just wants to play the game without being bombarded by, you know, advertisements and things. So it's really tough to pick a side and say that they're right, because I understand all three points of views. And if you have another point of view that I've never touched on yet, you know, go ahead and put that down below as well. I'd love to hear your comments on these kind of things. I should use, you guys been thinking of making a shaman. Shamans are actually an incredibly fun class. I've never played one in Everquest 1, but I've played it in Everquest 2, and you get a little pet to go with it, a little wolf. And I named my guy Teddy, because at a certain level the pet becomes a bear. And I just thought that would be kind of funny. It's like a teddy bear kind of thing. Can I get it so? But it's really hard, I know, to come up with unique names for your characters after the game's been out for like a year. At about the year point, every character name you could possibly think of has already been taken. And the ones that haven't been taken have been flagged by the server or the publisher as inappropriate, you know, because you can't name your character Darth Vader or something like that, because I guess copyright infringements and things of that sort, or maybe they just feel it's inappropriate. So it's incredibly hard. And I was actually going through on EverQuest 2 the other day. I was creating a character with Kevin, one of our viewers who watches our shows, and I was trying to create a character pretty quick, you know, because I had made one and I started him in the wrong city, so I was going back and creating another character. And they have the little button that does, you know, pick a name, and it randomly picks one for you that the server comes up with. So I clicked it, and it came up with some gobbledygook that wasn't any recognizable, pronounceable name that I've ever seen. And I'm like, it looks okay. It doesn't have a lot of I's or L's, so I'm gonna go with it. And so oh great, we got a train. It was our guy, Antarctica, or Antarctica, I should say. I wonder if... no, they couldn't have done that because it's the trainer. Oh, and the Taskmaster. Okay, so we got a couple names here, and I'll show you the loot of those creatures. We're doing pretty good, though. I haven't even actually had to do very much in this whole fight, or since I've joined the group. Maybe the other cleric's doing all the healing, but it's been pretty easy so far. There we go. Let's see, what level is this guy? He's yellow at level 12. So the trainer and the Taskmaster. I'll go ahead and show you guys what he has. I'll go ahead and link it so the whole group can see it. I was going to go ahead and check out the trainer, but I guess somebody else looted the corpse and it didn't have anything at all. Let me scroll up. Yeah, he didn't loot anything, so... So I had a brass earring and a leather whip on the Taskmaster. So that's pretty cool. 5 damage, 30 delay, one-handed slashing. Weight is 5. That's pretty heavy for a whip. It should probably be a little less than that. But only warriors, paladins, rangers, shadow knights, bards, rogues, and race all can use it. You also have the brass earring, 2 AC, Weight is only 0.1 of a pound. Size is tiny, and all classes and all races can use it. So it's not the greatest earring in the world. It's not really going to do you a whole lot, but it is still pretty nice. And I just noticed that Gaston here, his corpse is still here. I hope he comes back and loots it before it disappears. Let me see, what's the timer on that one? He will decay in 4 days, 21 hours, 59 minutes, and 21 seconds. And the resurrection timer will expire in 2 hours and 40 minutes. The negative side to the resurrection wearing out on you, other than the fact that you're going to lose that experience, is that when the resurrection is gone, you can't be zapped back to your corpse with a res. What that means is if you die in a zone, 15 or 20 zones away, you can't get a free teleport basically from a cleric. And what I used to do, you want to get me some food? I can bum. Yeah, I can give him some food. Oh, I guess somebody already gave him. But what I would do when I entered a zone as my cleric, I would actually use my, especially once I got my sprinkler, which is the epic that cast res for free without any power use, is I would enter a zone and literally just use my sprinkler on every corpse at the entrance. I wouldn't check to see if they were on. I wouldn't check to see if they were busy or send them a tell and say, do you want to res? I would just res it, and it would pop up on their screen with a little message and says, so-and-so would like to res you. Do you accept yes, or do you decline and say no? And so, they may be running back to their corpse and get a little message saying somebody wants to res you. Free teleport right back to their corpse. Boom, they're there, they're ready to go. So that's really cool to do. I know a lot of people love that. And it didn't cost me anything, just a couple seconds. I think it was like 6-7 seconds on the sprinkler or whatever, and I'd do that on each one of the corpses. And out of like the 20 people I would do that on, like 4 would usually accept, and they would get a free res out of it. And then, half of those people may run up to me and give me money, and I would just decline it because I'm not doing it for the cash anyways. And I hate to say it, but in Seb, I tended to make quite a bit of cash because it dropped gems all the time. And at the time I was playing, the cleric just automatically got the gems. They gave it to him because when he casts symbols, he uses Peridot. And Peridots are pretty expensive. If I remember right, it's something like 11 platinum a piece. So 6 people in your group, that would be 66 platinum every time you cast it. And I think it lasted for like an hour and a half. But it gave you a dramatically increase in your HP. So everybody wanted it, but since it was so expensive and I never really had that much money on my cleric, especially when you first get into 7 and they weren't doing the gym thing at the time, I didn't really want to cast it because it was coming out of my pocket, and I wouldn't make it back in a group, not that quick anyways. And so I would cast it on maybe like the tank and the enchanter, and that would be it. I wouldn't even cast it on myself because it was so expensive and I didn't feel it was really worth it. If I was doing a decent job, the tank didn't need that extra, 2,000 points of health. And if he really came down to the wire where he wasn't doing too hot, then we probably needed a better tank, and not an extra little buff. And some of the wizards and stuff, especially like Necros, they really got, upset if you didn't give it to them. And I can understand their point of view. They want those extra little bits of hit points just in case things go bad. But usually, I would say about 90% of the time, probably higher than 90% of the time, I never needed the extra hit points on the characters I was healing. It just it never came up. But I guess, for that, 5 to 10% of the time that it did, it was nice to have, but so expensive to get it on there. And later on, they actually started dropping Peridots in the zone so that you didn't even have to go out and buy them. When they dropped, they just went ahead and gave those to the healer automatically, and that kind of helped replenish it a little bit. And then, as more and more expansions came out, they really upped the scale about how much platinum you were getting off of just killing creatures. It was ridiculous, and an item that was worth like 100 platinum before skyrocketed to like 10,000 platinum because platinum is like inflation. It was just, there was just too much of it going around And so nothing, you would have like, you know, like 10,000 pesos in your pocket, and you could buy a loaf of bread with it, and that's it. You know, it was ridiculous. And in that sense, it was still kind of cool though, because when you buy from a vendor, their prices weren't going up. Other items, yeah, you know, the golden Afridi boots skyrocket, you know, in price, but the paradots remain the same. They were not taking that into account, how much inflation has gone up and how much platinum is on the server, and is not getting pulled out. And that comes to do with like the game mechanics. You know, the people who design the game have to create a way for platinum to enter the game and a way for platinum to exit the game in such a way that it doesn't build up to such a high point that, you know, prices are just outrageous and stuff like that. But they weren't really doing that too well at that time. I don't know if they planned it that way, if they wanted items to be worth, you know, 100,000 platinum. It was just ridiculous amounts, but at least you were able to go and buy, you know, 60 stacks of paradots after spending like an hour inside of a dungeon. So now you could use that spell to your heart's content. You didn't really have to worry about the cost. But if they were planning for that to happen, they could have just easily have lowered the price for paradots. You know, I never really understood why the price was so high anyways. Yeah, you could use it to make jewelry and things of that sort, but the jewelry you made with paradots wasn't like the greatest jewelry in the game. And if it was, all they had to do is lower the effectiveness of that jewelry. So, oh man, I got the royal guard on me. Go ahead and move over here. No wonder he was doing so much damage. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're gonna be fine. Those royal guards, man. Let me see, what level is he? I didn't get to see. It's probably red though. Ooh, got a belt. I guess it's free for all as well. Not really too worried about it. It's nice to get a belt every once in a while for the little extra cash. Royal guard see through the sneak. So guess what? Yeah, so that's a good little tip to know, guys. If you're using your sneak ability, some of the creatures, as I've told you before, they do see through that. Not very many, but when it happens, oh great, go right for me every single time. But when yep. So when it happens, though, again, it's pretty bad because they will break your ability to stay invisible with your sneak, and then everybody will see you. And so you really, really have to pay attention to that. In Everquest 2, they changed it so that you could see if a creature could see through your, you know, invisibility or through your sneak or whatever it was, your hide, by seeing if they were ready to attack. In this game, I believe even if you're sneaking, it still says they're ready to attack, but they won't attack. So there's really no way to tell if they're going to see through it until you walk by, and then they attack. Also, you got to keep in mind that some of them won't see through your invisibility unless you get really, really close to them. So if you stay out of range, kind of like skirt their aggro range, and normally if you weren't you know, sneaking, they would attack you, but because you are sneaking, they have a harder time seeing you. But if you walk straight up to them and sit on their lap, you know, they're still going to hit you, just like that guy did to me. So you got to keep that in mind, that it's also about tactics. You can't just run in and be like, okay, I own this joint. I don't have to worry about where I'm going or walking around certain corners and things of that sort. So, well, I think we're going to go ahead and end the episode here.